tonguing exercises are long tone exercises. This is something that I was told a long, long time ago. And I think I understood it when it was said to me, but I've also been thinking about it the ensuing 30 years or so, and I wanted to share what I have come to as a way to recognize this and have it be understood, turned into ability, and really impact our playing in a really, really positive way. I'm excited about sharing this with you. Stick around. How is it that tonguing is basically the same as playing a long tone? At first glance, it doesn't seem like that's the case, but it is. And here's why. When we tongue notes, what we are really looking for in that circumstance is a clean beginning, a clean end, but in the middle, we're looking for that exact tone that we have practiced so hard when we diligently do our long tones in our warm-ups. You do that, right? You should do long tones in your warm-up. And you should get your best sound. You should have an idea of what your best sound is. You should try and produce that best sound. In addition to that, you should also consider the same principles in your tonguing exercises that you do in your long tone exercises. That's what gives us the best tonguing and the best clean articulation at the beginning of a note. Let me show you how to do it. Got your clarinet? Get it out if you don't have it out yet. Let's play a nice long tone. Let's focus on three things that are happening there. First of all, we're using our air. We do that when we tongue. Second, we've got our embouchure set. We do that when we tongue. We have our tongue in a particular position. And I want you to think of your tongue in two different ways. The front of your tongue, what I call the consonant part of your tongue. The part that says the letter T or D. And think about where you put your tongue. D, T, D, T. It's right up in front. It's probably against your teeth or right where your teeth and your gums come together. That's an important part of your tongue when you're tonguing because that is the part that touches the reed. There's also the back of our tongue, the vowel part of our tongue. Let me show you how to get in touch with that. You can put your tongue right on the back of your teeth as if you're saying the letter T, but you're leaving it at the spot where the T comes out. It's right here. Here's what I want you to do. Leave it there, but actually make all your vowel sounds. A, E, I, O, U. And now I do that with my mouth moved a little bit. I'm going to do it without my mouth moving, I hope. A, E, O, U. That is the back of your tongue moving and the shape of your mouth in the back. That's what we call our voicing. We all voice in a particular way. Some of us, if we haven't thought about it yet, aren't super aware of this yet, but that can give you an awareness of it. And that is a part of our playing that's hard to talk about in a very, very specific way. But this exercise where you make those vowel sounds, really helps us recognize we are moving that part of our body in a way that's very, very specific actually, but doesn't feel very specific. Getting that in your awareness is important because we want that to be separate of our embouchure, our air, and the front of our tongue. I'm going to give you the whole thing right now, and then we're going to unpack it in a second. When we tongue, our tongue really shouldn't move. That much, that's it. Literally that much. And here's another challenge. When we are considering the inside of our mouth, small movements feel like big movements, and big movements are huge. We have a perception issue in there. That feeling of like, if for some reason you have a little piece of food stuck in your teeth. Floss, sure. But before that, recognize it feels giant compared to actually how big it really is. We were facing that same sort of conundrum when we are thinking about how our tongue moves in our mouth. So essentially, we want to match our tongue position when we are playing a long tone. When we're playing a nice long note, making our best sound, we essentially need to have that same tongue position when we are tonguing notes on the clarinet. But our tongue moves a lot, and we don't know it. So, you can separate the different parts of where your tongue is and where it's moving, and that is super helpful. But there's more. Let me just tell you right now, there's a lot more that I'm going to tell you right now that I can tell you, because a lot of it does take a more traditional teaching where I hear somebody do it and I give them feedback. And there's a lot that I can tell you that's just true that you can try and that will help your playing in the long run if you work on it. There's some stuff that would be irresponsible for me to tell you without actually hearing you do it. But even more good news, there's a place where you can get my direct feedback, and that's the Clarinet Ninja Dojo. There's some links down below in the description. You can check it out. There's a couple different levels. All that information is there. But this provides a situation where I can give you the full version, all the things that I have that will help you take understanding and turn it into ability. Advertisement over. But here's the thing you can do right now, and I can tell you without any reservations about damaging you or your clarinet playing, because I don't want to do that. And that is, we're going to go back to that G. We're just going to play it. Don't think about where your tongue is now. But I want you to try this. Will you put the tip of your tongue on the tip of the reed? And when I say the tip of the reed, that is the spot that goes from the corner to the corner. Because of the shape of the reed, there's a little half moon shape above that. Now, that's the tip of the reed. According to me, and I think according to most people would agree that's the tip of the reed. There's a part of it that is flat, and also the part that is sharp, right? Sharp part, and then the flat part. It's all the tip of the reed. If you're looking to me for a definition on that. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. Anyway, the point is this. We want to stop the reed, but not entirely. This would actually be terrible tonguing if we were to do it in real life. This is an exercise, not something I suggest that you do when you're playing. And that is, take your tongue, put it on the reed, but so gently that it keeps vibrating. I call it in my head a ghost tongue. There's my sound normally. I'm going to play normally, ghost tongue, and then let it go. You can hear when I do it, I start to leak a little bit because that pressure is in my mouth and it's not doing anything. And so it builds the pressure up in your mouth a little bit. That's okay. So what is this doing? This is doing a lot. This is giving us a way to make sure our support is exactly right. Your air support will be right. If that reed is still vibrating with your tongue on it, has to be on there gently. We got to figure that out. This will help match the front of your tongue when you're playing legato or slurring and when you are tonguing. We want it to be that our tongue moves the least amount possible, right? So when you take it off the reed, don't pull it way back. That's going to radically change the shape of your mouth, quite literally, when you are playing. The other thing it's going to do is it's going to check to see if the voicing part of your tongue is moving when you are moving your tongue towards and pulling it away from the reed. That's super important because we don't want the pitch of our notes to change while we are tonguing. That's a thing. That's a problem. And so the solution is to check it here, and this gives you real actionable feedback, right? So that we can get that sense. And then you can put your tongue, you can do the exercise we did before, that feeling in there, and then you can get a little bit more awareness of what's happening back there. Because when you play, that note should be the same note, regardless of whether your tongue is touching the reed or not touching the reed. Now, we're going to take this one step further. We are going to stop the reed entirely. And I want to see if we can do it with almost that lightness of tongue that we just used to make the ghost tongue. So that means we get to experiment with where our tongue is on the reed to find the spot that will stop the sound as effectively as possible without putting more pressure on the reed, right? Because we want to be able to have a very, very light tongue. You don't have to use a light tongue all the time, but you want to be able to. The idea in my head is to not have any restrictions based on what you're able to do and make choices based on what you want to do. So let's find it. You heard how I didn't get it right in the beginning. That was on purpose. But I didn't get it right at the beginning, and then it stopped, but not immediately. Let's see if I can use that spot. I'm blowing the whole time. That's the important thing. Just like the ghost tongue, I'm blowing the entire time I'm finding this spot. So I'm disassociating the air and the tongue. The tongue is moving, the air is blowing. What happens a lot of the time is we go back to when we were in 5th, 6th, maybe 4th grade, and we blow for every note. Our air and our tongue learned to work together when we were playing as a kid. And we want to sort of rip that history apart. It does take a little while, and we really need to not mark the notes with our air, ha, 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 when we tongue. We want it to be smooth, as if we were playing a long tone. That's what we're getting to here. This is the connection with the long tone and the tonguing. Everything is as much the same as it can be. So let's find that spot. And I am pulling my tongue away from the reed to make the sound. That's another thing. It's kind of an aside. Air making the reed vibrate makes the sound. Our tongue touching it stops the sound. To start a note, we need our air to work, and we need our tongue not to be on the reed. When we think about tonguing, a lot of times we think about that's the beginning of the note, and it is. But the tongue isn't making the beginning of the note. Your air is making the beginning of the note. And in order for the air to make the beginning of the note, your tongue comes away from the reed. This is a $1 million piece of advice. You're welcome. Tonguing is pulling away. It's not going forward. I'm going to say that again. Tonguing is pulling away. And when I say pulling away, not even that much. And it's not going forward. It's not. But intuitively, it does feel like that. I agree. Like when, sometimes if I'm not careful, I still think that. I still think it's going forward. And it's not. That's a very, very old idea that we get when we are children. And this is going to help us get away from it. Right? So my suggestion is then take this ghost tongue exercise, which is no longer a ghost tongue. It's actually stopping the reed all the way, and get comfortable blowing with your tongue touching the reed. Did you hear that? That was a garbage tongue. There was a ghost sound and then the real sound. Don't want that. I want a clean sort of explosion. That air is built up and it needs to be released. So that's actually a little bit gross in terms of the sound. I'm using a lot of air to try and illustrate this. One more thing I want to tell you. You shouldn't use more air when you tongue. We need to make sure we have the right air. The ghost tonguing is going to help us do that. But here's where we really connect the circle all the way. If you're having to use more air to get that clean articulation, that clean tongue, you probably should reevaluate how you're playing your long tones because you're not supporting enough if that's your natural setting. That's huge because we want to make this circle complete. It's not just that, we're trying to make our articulation like a long tone. We can actually derive a lot of information from our tonguing studies to feed back into our long tone studies. We tend to think, at least I do, I'm personalizing this, we tend to think of our long tones as sort of sacred land where we do this thing and special, and this is how we make our best sound. And we learn how to make our best sound from that place. Not true. You can learn it from other places. Everything that you do on the clarinet needs to exist, be able to be possible within this sphere of your best sound, making your long tones. Our air support, velocity, that's important. We've got the front of our tongue. Where is that? Connecting that when we play long tones, when we tongue. We don't want that to be a big difference. The back of our tongue, the voicing, the vowel sounds, and the placement of our tongue on the reed. We've talked about how to balance all that air so that it's the right amount of air so we don't have to blow harder, support more to tongue. That's not right. But we found out how to have this all work together. I'm going to give you one more thing before you go. Thank you for staying so long and checking this out, because it is going to help your clarinet playing. And you know what's going to help it even more? The Clarinet Ninja Dojo. I won't advertise again, but I'm just saying. All those links are in the description. I want to give you one more thing. You can practice your scales with the ghost tongue. And it's actually really cool to do it. I'm going to play a C scale. Not a hard one. It's morning time here when I'm making this video. I'm going to make it an easy one, a C major scale. Let's go up to G. So we're going to start on C. We're going to go up a 12th and back down. I'm going to start regular, then I'm going to put my tongue on the reed, then I'm going to play the scale. That's hard. I'm experiencing my support. It feels a little bit uncomfortable. But what it's doing is it's really showing me how that reed responds differently from register to register. Up in the altissimo, even more dicey. You need an even more light tongue. Good things to learn, good things to get a sense of. But it's making me support all the way through that. It's making me do it. It's not like when we are doing, a regular scale. Where we get to choose how much we support, and our clarinet's going to basically work. This adds a hurdle that insists upon us to play the clarinet even better. That's a good thing to practice. So then when we want to articulate it, here's a good idea. I just tongued that. I thought it sounded pretty good. But we're going to go from ghost tongue, we're going to slur, ghost tongue, and then articulate, kind of in one exercise. I probably will have to take a breath, but you get the idea. Regular, ghost tongue, articulation. That way, I'm seeing all angles of this in a very, very short period of time. It's going to light up some ideas and some things that you're doing in your clarinet playing that you didn't even know. It does it for me. I've been practicing this for a long, long time, and every time I do it, I get a little bit better. And it's exciting. And thank you for letting me share it with you. Check out the dojo. Seriously, I'd love to do things like this, hear you do it, help you with music. If you're just getting started, I'll help you learn how to read music. All of it. There's an very advanced dojo where you can, if you're doing, big things, Rose Etudes, concertos, sonatas, got you. It's great. It's a great platform to learn this. We all get together. It's a great community. You're going to love it. If you haven't, go to Facebook. Follow me. Go to my website. Get on my mailing list. There is tons of stuff that I'm trying to give to you all the time. And I want you to have it, and I want it to help your clarinet playing. Because what I want more than anything is for you to get what you want out of the clarinet.